I am doing an open cup galaxy pour today, and I'm using a black base coat. This is a 10 by 10 previously painted on canvas, and I just didn't love the painting, so I'm going to paint over it. So with an open cup galaxy pour, you want a very thin consistency on your paint, and you're going to throw down a base coat over the entire canvas. In this case, I'm using black. It's mainly Liquitex Basics, with some other miscellaneous blacks from my paint bin that I was just using up. Unfortunately, I think one of them ended up with a few clumps in it, so it didn't dry out so great in that sense. But yeah, so first you want to cover the whole canvas. So I'm just using gravity to move the paint around, and then use my fingers to get the coverage on the sides. So you want a nice even coat of the base paint. The paint is mixed very thin with 1 part acrylic paint to about 2 parts Floetrol, American Floetrol, and then thinned with water to the point that if you drizzle it off your stick, it does not create a mound, and that's for all of the paints. So you can see I'm using Neon Pink from Crafters Acrylic, and you can see how thin it is when I drip it off the stick here. And then I've got Fluorescent Yellow from Liquitex Basics, and I have purple made from Dioxazine purple mixed with a little bit of the fluorescent pink, and just a dab of white to lighten it up, so that because the Dioxazine purple can be a little bit dark and wouldn't be as visible against the black. Just saw something in my black paint there, just touching it up there. Okay, so to do an open cup, you obviously need an open cup. Some people use a cookie cutter or a plastic cup with the bottom cut off. This is just a piece of a paper towel roll. So you're going to pour a little bit of a pillow down in the center, place your cup, and then you're going to start pouring your paints in. And the more black paint you pour, the more base color paint that you pour in between your colors, the more separation there will be, and the more heavy the black will be, in the sense of you won't have it like thick bands of color. So I just continue to layer my paints until it gets a little bit too full, and then the gravity takes care of that. So you can see how it spreads out and creates cells from the reactions of the very thin paints and the way that they are being applied to the canvas. So just continue to add more paints, more of each color, more of the black, and the black pushes the paints out as well. So you could do like a big pour of pink, a big pour of purple, and then a big pour of yellow, and then black, and end up with like sort of a band of color. And then you can do that again and have repeating bands. It's totally up to you. So the more black you have, the more, or more base color, in this case black, the more space there will be between the bands of color. So in this case, I'm not using a ton. I'm just putting enough to separate them a little bit. But let's see. So spreading or stretching this type of painting is a lot easier if you have a spinning device such as a Lazy Susan or a cake turner. I don't have one of those, so I'll just be stretching it out the traditional way. Unfortunately, that does sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Distort the cells and the design of it, but I still think it turns out cool. So you do get that big clump of paint in the end. You can obviously prevent that to some degree by pouring a lot more base paint in there, but you'll see once I get to it, I just take a spatula and kind of twist it. It makes its own cool design. So I'm just going to stretch the colors out to every corner. You can see how everything gets distorted. You can totally see how much the pink really took over. And I think that becomes even more obvious as you come along. I think though when it dried, the purple did start to show up a little bit in little spots of yellow. Not much yellow, and it does look a little bit green because of mixing with the black. That's what happens when you have very thin paints with neon yellow and black. So you can see it's a little bit stretched out, but I do think it looks pretty cool. And I love the way this technique creates cells without needing any additives like silicone or any oil or anything like that. we go. I just have a little paint spreading spatula, and I'm just going to twist the paint around and give it its own little thing. And then once you torch and the paint kind of settles, it starts to look pretty cool, I think. So I'm just torching using a cake torch, or a dessert creation torch, chef's torch, that I got off Amazon, and it's just filled with butane, and you use it to pop air bubbles, and it helps encourage cells coming to the surface as it warms the paint, and the paint expands. It moves against each other, and oh, and I'm wearing a towel on my head because I just had a shower. So just using my breath to try and move some of the paint in the center there to see if I could get something a little bit more interesting. I do think that once the paint kind of settled into itself, it did turn out pretty cool in the center there. Another torch. The closer you get to the canvas, the more likely you are to get little small clusters of cells, which I do a little bit later because I was a little frustrated that all the yellow disappeared. But yeah, so that's that. That's how that's done. You can see this is the finished painting. It dried quite a bit darker, but I do like how the pink and purple sort of are interacting, and you could just get little touches of the yellowy green here and there, and even a little bit of orange where the yellow and pink mix. So I think it turned out pretty cool. You can see there's a few lumps, I think, from some of my leftover black paints. But anyways, there you go. That's an open cup pour. So thanks for watching. Hope you'll tune in for the next one. Bye!